What's going on, everybody? It's the Fantasy First Rounders. Guys, we've got rookie running backs tonight. Let's see if we can get through 20 of them. Welcome in, guys. Like I mentioned, we're the Fantasy First Rounders, guys. We got one more little clip for y'all, powered by FF Peacock, man. Shout out to Miles. Welcome in, everybody. This is the Fantasy First Rounders. I'm your host, Chris Pinto. With me, man, on our 40th episode, finally, guys. We got the whole crew back together, man. Tom, we'll talk about, but thank you for coming back from the hiatus. Billy, Ryan, guys, it's been a great 40 shows together. Tom, how you feeling? How you doing? Everything okay, man? I see you took the sign down, man. You got the apartment back together, you know?
Hey, man, I'm finally back. I'm glad to be here. You know, I can't say enough about how much I missed doing this with you guys over the last 2 weeks. So sorry to miss it. Glad to be back.
Of course, man. Yeah, we missed you, obviously. Before everyone, we were complaining that, God, we just agree way too much. Billy brought it up, was like, man, we just agree way too much without you, Tom. And then we're about to go into these rookie running backs. Tom, you're about to get roasted on a couple of these.
That's very possible.
Billy.
That's very
Billy,
possible.
how you doing, man? How's Iowa treating you?
Hey, man, we're doing well out here, and the weather's starting to turn nice. So, flirting with that chilly morning, nice afternoon stuff. It's beautiful.
Ryan, how you doing in Bandera, man? We had a little hailstorm down here in College Station the other night. How did y'all fare?
Got nothing. We need rain, and we got nothing.
Needed rain. College Station gets the hail. That's fair, right? Well, guys, let's go on into it. I'm about to get onto Facebook here and share this out live so everyone on Facebook can watch us too. Well, before we get into what we're going to talk about, let's kick it off. This is how we're going to start the show. Last season, man, we did the St. Jude Bowl at the end of the show. This time, we're going to do it at the beginning of the show because the St. Jude Bowl is such a big part of the Fantasy First Rounders. It is essentially like our engine, right? And so we want to acknowledge the people that have joined us continually for the second year, and we'll go in through all that kind of stuff, but I'm going to let these guys down here, Ryan, Tom, Billy, you guys kind of take it away. Let's talk about the St. Jude Bowl for a little bit and how people can get signed up, what's going to happen, all that kind of jazz.
All right, man. Well, the St. Jude Bowl is back. We're going to be doing a bunch of different formats with it this year. I'm sure some of you have already heard this before, but if you haven't, we got best ball, vampire, guillotine, auction leagues on top of our second annual big mega St. Jude Bowl. That one last year we had 144 members and we raised over $1,200 for St. Jude and $1,200 to first place, our boy Rusty Meyer. Well done, Rusty. We're coming for it this year, man. But this year we're expecting it to get a lot bigger, and that means more money for St. Jude, more money for first place. We don't make any money off of this. $0 are made for us off of this. All the money goes to winners and charity. So we're really excited to get back into it again. I'm going to be doing every single format we have. I recommend you do the same because, again, it's for a great cause.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now we're running through our contacts and of the people that rolled with us last season, offering them kind of the early opportunity to get in prior to opening it up to the public. So getting those guys squared away, we're getting ready to open up signups for everybody and expand this thing out. But we wanted to give our people that are coming back an opportunity to bring a friend with them as well. This is an awesome event. A lot of people had a lot of fun. We've had a ton of interaction already with you guys. So if you're listening in, you played with us last year, thanks, appreciate it, and looking forward to expanding this year. It's going to be a huge event. It's going to be a monster good time.
For sure, for sure. Oh, shout out. Oh, what's going on? FF Hustler. This is my guy right here, man. He is one of the brand new guys to the Rumboyz crew. Couldn't be prouder and happier of him, man. He is an IDP freak. And so finally, we can talk some defensive players to this guy. When I drafted Micah Parsons in our expert league the other night, I was like, oh, man, this is for Hustler right here. Also, guys, check out his show on Monday. I'll be on there as a guest. We got 90s trivia going on. It's going to be super fun, super fun. It's going to be a good time. That's all I can say. So shout out to Hustler, man. Guys, let's get into some of the veggies, right? Before we get into the running backs. Guys, if you've ever watched our show before, you know who we are. Our guys know tight ends, right? I'm a Travis Kelce, Darren Walrus guy, George Kittle if I got to do it. And last year when I had Kittle in a couple of my leagues, these guys helped me pull out some championships with the a la Logan Thomas, Mike Gesicki, even Drew Sample at some points, right? Where I was just trying to fill a void where George Kittle was because I want to set it for getting my tight end. But these guys right here will help you with their tight ends. These are some rookie tight ends. We're going to talk about 3 rookie tight ends real quick. Last week we talked about the first 3. This will be about the next 3. And every show we will continue with 3 rookie tight ends to give us 12 rookie tight ends by the end of the year, going a little bit deeper than most of the people do in the industry. So, guys, Tom, kick it off. Who's the first tight end that we're going to talk about? And just kick it around. I'm going to try to get back on Facebook and share this stuff out. It was a little bit delayed, so we'll see.
Well, I'm pretty excited about the first tight end here. It's one of my boys from Penn State. We are Pat Freiermuth. Arguably, well, not arguably. I think he's the second best tight end in the draft. The only argument you could make for first is because Kyle Pitts isn't really a tight end, right? Pat Freiermuth is the most complete across-the-board tight end I've seen in a while coming into the draft. Billy, we were talking about, he reminds you kind of a tier 2 version of George Kittle, right? This guy, he can block, he can run, he can catch, he can do it all. His biggest weakness is he's not outright fast, right? Like he doesn't have blazing speed. His blocking is good, not great, but it's, those are things that can be improved. Didn't really do much at his pro day. We didn't run a 40, but you can look back coming into college. He ran a 4.95 40. For reference, the year he came in, the best 40 for a tight end was a 4.76, the worst a 5.45. So he's down on the lower side there. So he's not a slow guy. I think he's exciting. He's a round 2 guy, and it's a steal at that. I think he can lead any team. What do you guys think?
Real quick on YouTube, they said they put RB talk. This is RB talk. We just go over tight ends real quick before we jump into RBs. We cover a couple tight ends every episode. That way we can cover tight ends, but there's not really a whole episode's worth of tight ends to cover. So we just do a few in the beginning. And man, this one, I love Big Pat, baby Gronk. That's what he looks like. He is a miniature version of Gronk. He's not got the ceiling that Gronk has, but he has the kind of floor that Gronk had. He's really good. He could be a tight end one in quite a few drafts, but this year you just have Pitts. But I'd be really happy to get him, man. If I could get him in a rookie draft, I'm happy about it. That guy's going to be good in the league for a long time. He's so powerful.
Yeah, and really, he's that prototypical size at Penn State. That he blocks, and he really tracks the ball really well over his shoulder. So, I mean, he can run just about everything in the route tree. That 4.74 speed, similar to T.J. Hawkinson. So no questions there as to what he'll be able to do running around with the ball in his hands. I mean, this is a guy that just plays tough, hard-nosed football, well-rounded tight end. I think he can make an impact, especially if he ends up in a position where, hey, you're the guy, we're going to put you on the field. Maybe a Minnesota-type fit would be good.
Perfect. Now, I guess you can group these next 2 guys kind of together, right? I'm sorry. A little choked up real quick. You can kind of group these next 2 guys kind of together, right? Just where, the tight end landscape is just so barren, and these 2 guys are a little similar, I would say. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. You're the tight end experts, not me. I just win ships.
I'm not even going there.
Well, I'll start it off with Tommy Tremble from Notre Dame. He is 6'4", 248, ran a 4.59. That's better than people were expecting. He's the best blocking tight end in this class. he is one of the best blocking tight ends I've seen in college, especially as the athleticism he has. He really does not shy away from blocking in the run game. He didn't have a lot of production due to really, I mean, for some times he was playing with Claypool. He was playing with some good tight ends and good weapons around him. He was so effective in the ground game that they didn't really use him in the passing game, but it's there. You can see it when he does get the ball. This guy's got skills. He's able to – the athleticism is going to translate, and he should get on the field immediately because of his blocking. And then on the other side, Trey McKitty, a little bit slower, but he's very elusive for his big body. And I don't believe he's as slow as what his 40 time says. Billy and I, we were discussing this before. He looks fast. He gets open on these plays somehow. He didn't have a lot of production, but my goodness, the potential was there. I wish I had a little bit more to go on, but the upside that he was flashing is tremendous in my opinion. And he's a big old boy, kind of Georgia playing in the SEC.
Yeah, I feel the same way about Tommy Tremble. Don't hate the guy because of what they didn't ask him to do. He did what they asked him to do, and he did it very well. Now, the route tree wasn't real advanced because they weren't really going to him, but they did design some plays to him. See him do like some wheel routes and get behind guys and make nice catches. So he's definitely capable of making plays. And Trey McKitty, this guy's a wide receiver. He has 40 times like a 4.7, but he just plays football way faster than that. I mean, they line up, they run shovel passes and little dump screens to this guy, so he's really athletic, obviously, when he gets the ball in space. So I think he's a pretty good player. The right offense would serve him well. I'd like to see him end up somewhere like the Chargers, something like that would be a good spot for him.
Yeah, I feel like Trey McKitty is a great number 2 tight end. I think he would thrive in a situation like early years of Dallas Goedert, where you have a first or second tier tight end in front of you, and you're not the main focus of a defense, right? He doesn't have elite speed. He doesn't have elite, blocking. But he's very good across the board. He does it all well. So I think that's his ideal situation and could develop into a solid starter. Tremble, on the other hand, I think could be a good starter, after a year or two of development. Could be one of the guys that we're really looking at. I think the toughest thing for him at Notre Dame was he was always in a rotation at tight end. You think about he had Cole Kmet, his first couple years, and then I'm blanking on the name, but they had the super freshman there that just kind of ran him over as far as starting time went. But beyond that, it's like we said, route running is his biggest weakness. I think a year or two of development in the NFL though, and he's right there.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's the tight ends in a nutshell.
Yeah.
So
let's get out of here.
Sometimes, guys, we take a little break because we're talking to each other and stuff like that in the chat. So it is a pretty kick-ass name. I like the running back. His last name is Funk. That's my dude for next season. I was talking about Spiller to these guys earlier, but I think Funk's gonna top it. I don't know what's going on with Facebook right now. We'll try to get it on there. Obviously, we're live, so that we have technical difficulties every so often. So we'll try to figure that out. If not, we'll try to upload it from YouTube over there later. It's not a big deal, guys. What we do want to do is Billy and Ryan sent out some emails over the weekend for our returning participants who played last year in the St. Jude Bowl. What we wanted to do was ask them to obviously sign someone else up. And if you turned in that, you and your partner or whatnot, prior to Tuesday night at midnight, we were going to do a drawing. So out of all the contestants that are returning with their significant others or friends, brothers, dads, mothers, whatever your second partner was, Scott Davis, who was actually one of our finalists last year, turned in, I guess him and his partner, Billy randomly drew it. So Scott Davis, we will be messaging you later. So you and your partner will be getting in for free this season. Congratulations, guys. We'll see you in the bowl. Let's get to what everyone's talking about, though. Rookie running backs, right? We want to get through 20 of these guys super, super quickly. Rapid fire. We have some great knowledge on these guys. Obviously, we've talked about them for a while. So rookie running backs are consensus 1.01. I mean, it's pretty silly if you don't have them at 1, but our guy who's been a while, who hasn't been here for a while, has him a little lower. I'm talking about the boy, the man, the myth, the legend, out of the SEC Crimson Tide, Alabama, Najee Harris. Okay, Najee is a senior from Alabama, standing at 6'2", 230. His pro day, a 4.45 40. Najee owns PFF's third highest rushing grade at a 93.3. He ranks, I think, second in overall touchdowns in the class with 61, only to Travis Etienne, who's got 78. He has the fourth most forced missed tackles in the class with 128. That is huge at his. I mean, he's not like running people. I'm talking about missing tackles, like he's juking boys left and right. He's also incrementally been better year after year at his pass catching. Last year, he had like 43 out of 54, 55 receptions, and he really excelled out of the backfield. Here's something really crazy now, and then, Tom, I'm going to kick it to you. But here we go. This is crazy. From PFF, he has a dominated ranking of 32%. Every predecessor to him, including Josh Jacobs, including Damian Harris, including Mark Ingram, never left Alabama with higher than an 18. This guy almost doubles it, right? So Najee is my 1.01. Ryan's and Billy's as well. We'll get to them in a little bit. But Tom, with your hottest of hottest mics, the first time you've been back in 2 weeks on our 40th time together, I want some fire, son. Why am I so high on Najee, and why are you so low on him?
All right. So first of all, saying that I'm low on him might be a little bit of a stretch. I have him at 3.
That's fair.
I have him at 3. And let's be honest, the two guys that I have ahead of him, and we'll talk about who's where, but it's going to be Travis Etienne and, who I really think is a standout, Javonte Williams, right? So I don't dislike Najee. My biggest thing with him is that at his size, he's almost the exact same size as Derrick Henry, about an inch off, less than 10 pounds difference, right? Runs at 40 in near the same time. I just don't see the same physicality from him. And being a back of that size, I want him to be just mauling people, and I don't see it, right? I think he could end up being the best running back in this draft, but what I'm seeing on the field is that Javonte has a little more upside as a 3-down back.
Yeah, there's nothing that to me that is close to Najee Harris in this draft, honestly. When you talk about before we know about situation, he is by far my number 1 running back in this class. He's just so big and powerful and fast. And I see shades of Henry, but a much better receiver. And we have all talked about he would be the RB1 if he caught just 50 balls. If Henry just caught 50 balls, that's the RB1. Well, this guy has that kind of potential. I think he's even more elusive than Henry. He just lacks a little bit more of that. Maybe he's a little less bursty and a little bit smaller, but he's a lot more elusive and a better receiver. We're looking at a generational talent, in my opinion.
Najee is just as smooth as they come in the open field. He just kind of looks like he's a man amongst boys in a lot of the biggest moments over the last several years, in college football. Tons of carries. The workload's no question. 6 yards a carry. Touchdowns are there. Incrementally better wide receiver or as a receiver, much better catching the ball in the backfield than we give him credit for. 11 touchdowns, 80 catches, 781 yards over the last 2 years to add to all those rushing stats.
50 Shades of Henry. That's pretty good. What's up, Justin? Nice to see you in the chat, man. All right, guys. So, Tom, kick it over. Our 1.02.
Next, we got Travis Etienne. I had him at 2. Chris, Ryan, you guys both have him at 2. Billy, the only one that didn't. But, let's be honest, Travis Etienne, the whole Clemson offense was just tremendous, right? He's 5'10", 205. The guy's fast. He's got power. His biggest question is just fumbles. I have concerns about that. He had quite a number this. I lost the number here. If anybody has the fumble number, it was higher than I'd like to see. He's not downright fast at a 4.46, but quicker than the rest in this draft. I think he's a solid back. He can catch, he can run people over, he can do what you need. I think that he's a little bit more, I don't know. I think that he he has potential, but he has a lower floor, if you will. I think that's kind of where I'm at on him.
Yeah, I get that. I have him as my 2 just because he's so daggone versatile. Like, truly, his greatest ability is that he has, like, no weakness. He's a great receiver. He's a great runner between the tackles on the edge. There's no weakness in his game. I don't think he has the same kind of ceiling as Harris does, but it's not far. He doesn't have that one super duper elite skill set like with Harris. I see a couple. With Etienne, maybe as a receiver, he might become an absolute animal. So maybe you're looking at like something along the lines of Alvin Kamara, but no, a poor man's version of that. I don't see the same quickness or the same power for that matter, but I see a lot of similarities otherwise.
Yeah, Etienne's my number 3 coming in behind Tom's number 1, Javonte Williams. I think we're seeing the same thing there, Tom. But as far as Etienne goes, this guy's a production monster. Back-to-back 1,600-yard rushing seasons before a decline this last season. Almost 5,000 yards rushing over 4 years at Clemson, a career 7.2 yards per carry average, and he averaged 8.1 and 7.8 in his sophomore and junior years, where he had over 400 carries on that stretch. Came on as a pass catcher later in his career, 85 catches over the last 2 seasons, 78 career touchdowns. Please land in Buffalo. I love Etienne, incredible talent. I mean, he does lack a couple things. His pass blocking is not very special. It's kind of a knock on him last year. When it was kind of in question whether or not he was going to come out. But I think he put in the work in the passing game. And I think he's just kind of a right fit for Buffalo where, hey, 12 carries and that 2 or 3 big bursts is all Buffalo really needs out of their running game to help that offense take that next step.
Man, so I was super upset when Arizona got James Conner, but that's okay. That doesn't mean they can't still get Etienne. Buffalo would be a great landing spot for him. He's obviously the best pass catcher out of this class. He finished PFF receiving grade 90.9, which is the highest. First in receiving 588. He has 78 total touchdowns. Most of them have been through on the ground, but he is a great pass catcher, right? Billy's mentioning his not good pass blocking ability. That's going to be a hindrance, right? And that's kind of Buffalo's shtick, right? None of their backs can really pass block. So you had a third guy kind of like that. That kind of sucks. But whatever. I love Travis Etienne. This was my number 1 guy prior to everything going down, and now he's falling for me. So Ryan, I really don't have too much on this. Let's move on to our third guy, right? Let me get to the banner. There we go. This is a guy you're really high on.
Javonte Williams. Nope, I'm the lowest.
Oh, Billy was the highest. There we go.
Tom has 1. Tom has him as the 1. Billy has him as the 2. You have him as the 3, and I have him as the 6.
Chris forgot that I'm back.
Yeah, so I'm level-headed, obviously. Okay, that's fine. Continue.
So, for me, Javonte, like I like what I see, but I see Myles Gaskin. I see a guy that is good but not great at a lot of things. He's just very good at everything. I think he's going to have a successful career in this league. He runs hard. There is skill there, but nothing makes me go, wow. And that's why I'm a little bit lower on him than you guys are. I'm not low on him per se. Like, again, he's still 6, and I think this is a talented running back class. But I think that the hype has been pushed too high on him, and I'm not liking the value where they have him as an RB3. I like a couple guys more than him.
Yeah, I absolutely love Javonte Williams. I mean, this guy is 5'10", 220. And he runs like he's 220. He has a 7.3 yards per carry average. And as a junior, 19 touchdowns on 157 carries, 6 games over 100 yards, and 7 games with multiple touchdowns. I mean, this guy he's a beast. Most of the time, he did damage with his carries in the only getting in like mid-teens, 13, 15, 17 carries. Only twice did he have 20 or more carries, and they were huge games. 169 2-touchdown game against Virginia Tech, and a 236-yard 3-touchdown explosion against the U. I mean, they're really impressive outings. If you just watch him, he can kind of take over the game. I see an Aaron Jones type talent similarities, and what I mean by that is he's kind of a hodgepodge of good running back play with all sorts of kind of like pieces of different games mixed in. I mean, some days he looks like a power guy. Some days he likes to run around people. He really is just kind of a hodgepodge of good quality running back play, and I like him a lot. I see him fitting in so many places, and that's why he's my running back too.
Yeah, Jaws Whedon in the chat, man. Message us. You have a free entry into the St. Jude Bowl, man. Thanks for tuning in, always being part of the active chat. So we want to reward our listeners, right? So come on, get in on there. DM any one of us. DM us. If you need an email, ask for it in the chat. We'll be waiting for you, man. I'm going to make this pretty simple, right? Javonte, he's great. Top 3. Obviously, these guys are all pretty similar. What I like about this guy, he led the nation with 75 forced missed tackles, which is 48% from his playing rate, because obviously him and Michael Carter they were like 1A, 1B there. So Javonte, though, not even the best guy out of the backfield by numbers, but like Billy mentioned, his stature. Y'all saw my text, like, you know what my running backs need to be? They need to be a 5'11 guy to 6'3 guy, 225 around that, depending on height. He fits the mold. I love his elusiveness, right? The 46% or 48% missed tackle rate is crazy. That's almost a coin flip. That's what you want. So, Tom, what do you have on Javonte, man? He was your number 1 guy. Take it away.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Javonte, to me, there's really only one big weakness with him, and that's just, pass protection. And that's not even bad. It's just something that he will need to develop into the league. One of my biggest things I love about him is just that size. We've hit on it a couple times already, but I mean, the dude is 5'10", 220. He's built for 5'10". I feel like this is one of the guys that we haven't talked about. Like we talk about Saquad's 2.0, and AJ Dillon. Like, he's not that monster of quads, but like he is just a thick man from top to bottom, right? One of the comparisons I saw on him was Frank Gore. And the biggest thing I think about that is he's a downhill runner. He can make people miss, though. And with that build, he could have longevity in this league, that he's around for a little bit longer than some of the guys that are maybe 5'10", 190, 200, or even the guys that are 6'3", 230, because they're leaned out more. So I like Javonte. I think he's a jack of all trades that has a lot of success in this league.
Yeah, that's exactly what I like about him too, Tom. Just that mix of so many different talents that you love to see at the running back position. I really like Javonte. I mean, the more I watch him, the more I'm like, man, I could see him here. I could see him here. And I think it's just going to get better too. He has been splitting some time, so there is some development, I believe, left on the bone.
And for the record, this whole top 3, I think, is pretty, close. You can kind of mix the 3 of those together, and just you're going to end up with a running back 1 out of one of them.
Absolutely. So our number 4 guy is Kenneth Gainwell. This is Ryan's boy. I'm not sure where Ryan's got him ranked. He's got to be the highest 3.
Well,
the rest of us all at 4 here.
Pinto has him at 3 also. Oh, no, sorry. He has him at 4.
Oh, yeah.
He has him at 4.
No, 4.
No,
okay.
He has him at 4. Sorry.
Well, when I watch this guy, 5'11", 190, one thing I like about him, small stature, but not a ton of mileage on him, as he just played a part of his freshman year, and then that redshirt freshman year, and he did opt out of 2020. So this guy hasn't played in a year, but if you watch him, this guy's an incredible talent. He's definitely a dual threat guy. He logged 51 catches in 2019, 282 touches in that 2019 season, over 2,000 total yards as a freshman. I mean, that's averaging 20 yards a game. That's proven to me that he can handle the load at that size. 20 carries a game. I don't care where you play. That's a workload, especially for a guy that's under 200 pounds. He's a long strider. He flashes incredible footwork in traffic, and definitely like when you're not expecting it. I mean, this guy is shifty. He can move. He's fast, explosive. I love especially the receiving ability. But you guys know more about him than me. Take it away.
Man, so I'm going to jump in real quick on Gainwell at 28.49. This guy is elusive. He's patient. He knows how to work his blocks. He handles the ball great. He's got great vision, elite running ability. That's what I can say about this guy. Tom, what do you got? That was 14 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough situation with sitting out this past season, right? I think it took out a lot for people to see what he really has in him. I definitely do have concerns about his size, right? Being 5'11", 191, can you really bulk up that much from what he's at? And if you do, are you as effective as a runner? But injuries are going to be a concern, I think, for him, just based on that build. Beyond that, I mean, I don't know how well he's going to be able to break tackles. Can you really play much in the goal line? So are you going to get as many touchdowns? And then even just pass protection, again, another one of those guys that we didn't see a ton of it there in Memphis when he played. But in his 1 year, 1,400 yards on the season is pretty impressive. So I do like him. Some questions to be had, though. I think this is where we start to separate from that first tier.
I think he's better than Javonte. He's Reggie Bush. He's electric, dynamic. I see a lot of the same stuff that I like about Reggie Bush is what I like about Kenny Gainwell. And I always remember Antonio Gibson had to go play wide receiver because of this guy, and Antonio Gibson is a beast.
Pollard too.
Henderson too.
Henderson, dang, that's the fourth guy I always forget. I see what you're talking about now, Jaws. That's crazy, right?
Yeah, one last thing about Gainwell, it's really nice. They get him downhill there quick. He makes a lot of big runs, making like one cut or no cut. I mean, he hits the whole rolling down the field. Makes a lot of big plays before guys even realize he's out the back. He's explosive.
Yeah.
The only thing I want to add, because I just gave my like hot take or whatnot, or just like how good he is as a runner for Tom, because I know you're going to like this. Kenny Gainwell is the only running back to come out of the draft right now that has 1,200 yards out of the backfield, or I'm sorry, on the ground, 600 through the air. The last running back to do that to the big leagues, Saquon. Not comparing them, but just saying he's that dynamic.
He is dynamic, no question about that.
Whew, he's so dynamic.
Not trying to say he's not. It's just that size. Saquon's a big dude. Gainwell isn't.
So here we go, guys. We're trying to move through these pretty quickly. This is a guy that I absolutely love out of The Ohio State, Trey Sermon. Let me look at these rankings real quick because I think I had to bat an eyelash. All my dudes have him at 5, and I'm the lowest on my guy, Trey Sermon. I'm glad you guys listened to me prior to all of this, all the hype out of OU that I bestowed upon you, how he went to The Ohio State University looking for a bell cow workload. Obviously, he met Master Teague, the college vulture there, which is fine. But guys, you know, I haven't adjusted my rankings really. I had guys in there that hadn't committed, right? As Ryan told me today, but that's okay. I went with my gut way back when, and I had this guy, Trey Sermon, man, at number 5 or number 6 for him. And I'll tell you why. A senior out of The Ohio State, but obviously came out of OU. My brother-in-law, like y'all know, is an OU alum. I've watched every single OU game, just like I watch A&M. But this guy's the build. 6'1", 215, 218-ish, a 4.58 40. Love it, man. Trey Sermon loves to ball. He likes to run hard. 9 yards per carry in 2020 season. Hit a 30% missed tackle rate, and he ranks 7th in PFF, a 93.9 since 2018. That is huge. He leads the class in a bunch of different rankings, and he's in the top half for others. I'm going to get off my pedestal real quick on Trey Sermon because you guys love him more than I do, so I want to hear it. Hype me up.
I mean, Trey Sermon is good, right? I'm not going to say he's not. Good things, he runs well north to south, right? He gets downfield pretty well. Downside, I don't see him getting outside a lot. He doesn't do a great job of it. He doesn't get the edge. That is a concern of mine. I don't know. He's also coming off an injury. Didn't he break a collarbone back in January? Right?
That's unbeknownst to me right now. But Dynasty Rewind, I can see that. Man, the guys over at Dynasty Rewind are really, really good. If y'all are watching, go check them out. I would consider that right. Reggie Bush, I think ETN's a little bit more gritty, or Reggie Bush a little bit more pretty boy to me, if that makes a little sense to you guys.
Yeah, I still see the Gainwell. I agree.
I'm asking everyone but Ryan, because Ryan got the Gainwell blinders on.
I love that man.
Dynasty Rewind, thank you for tuning in.
Tom, you done on Sermon, or do you have more?
I'm good. He did break a collarbone, I believe, back in the championship game.
Gotcha. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. For me, he just oozes potential. The size-speed combo. He's a good receiver. He has great balance, runs tough. He's very dangerous. I like his build. I like the way he looks in a football uniform. You know what I mean? That's an athlete. When I watched him play, the games I got to see the most of them were those last games in the playoffs. And boy, he looked good against some good defense. He's an animal.
Yeah, they really kind of just figured out at the end of the year to give him the workload. Big Ten title game, just destroyed Northwestern, 29 carries for 331 yards. Followed that up by a college football playoff outing where he had 31 for a $193 against Clemson, and he had 4 catches for 61 yards. And then, yeah, like you said, he had a carry in the national title game and broke his collarbone. But unfortunately, the guy was on a roll. I would have loved to see what he could have done with it. When I watch Trey Sermon, his vision stands out. Now, all these guys like Pinto, you and I talked about earlier, all these guys at this level have vision to a certain extent. But Trey Sermon's vision, it just stands out to me. He's excellent at finding space, running through arm tackles as plays develop. What's his juke rating, Pinto? Because this guy gets people on skates in the middle of the field. Incredible with that L2, R2 button on dudes right in the middle of the field. I mean, it's amazing where he can find holes. He's a pro. Let him end up in San Francisco with Kyle Shanahan, and the party will be over in the NFC West. It'll be back to business the second they draft him.
So before Tom takes over with Michael Carter, the juke rating for Trey Sermon is at 21.3, which is middle of the pack. But at his build, damn it, boy. I mean, because the backs in this class, we're not talking about all big backs. You know, we're talking about
small guys.
You know, so he mixes in with those guys at that big frame. You got to like that.
Yeah. Well, next up, we got number 2 out of UNC, Michael Carter. Not a big guy, right? He's 5'7" and 7/8 because those 7/8 matter. 202, right? He's not going to be a bell cow that's running the ball 20, 25 times a game, I don't think. I just don't see that. I don't know about you guys. But I think he has the potential with his shiftiness, his elusiveness, his ability to catch, his ability to block to be kind of that, I don't want to draw a direct comparison, but a Darren Sproles-esque guy that they can bring in on a running back by committee, and he is incredibly effective in that role. And yes, he can run it up the middle when needed, a la Darren Sproles, but it's not going to be his bread and butter. So I think this guy is a very good pickup for somebody, probably in the 3rd or 4th round, kind of those mid-round guys. And it's going to be probably the biggest steal of the draft, in my opinion.
Yeah, I have him at 4, Chris at 7, Billy at 8, and Tom at 6. So I'm higher on him than y'all are. I will be honest.
I thought Billy had him at 6.
I have him at 4.
Oh.
But the thing is, he's not going to wind up at 4 for me. I only just today found out about his adjusted height and weight, and that's just a little too small for him to be that high. I still really like his talent. I think he's dynamic. I think a lot of what Tom said rings true here.
Yeah, I got Michael Carter at 8, but it's not necessarily a lock, a knock on him. I mean, 8's pretty good. This is a smaller statured guy, but he's not afraid of contact at all. He makes moves at full speed, hard cuts though, quick first step. Really just a crazy stop and go, natural pass catcher, weaves through defenses. I mean, his game's pretty. 8 yards per carry in 2020, rolling with Javonte Williams. And I mean, just kind of overshadowed by him. I think more the stature of Javonte kind of does that. But when I watch him, I really get the feel of like a CEH type player. I can't wait to see where he lands. He will make an impact, but he does need the right situation. Another Buffalo fit, exciting acquisition regardless for whoever drafts this kid. Definitely a guy you're going to try to be creative and get him working your offense somewhere, somehow.
CEH, I agree, Billy.
Yeah.
I mean, CH, a weapon. He led a bunch of categories right in the SEC. Michael Carter does the same thing. Michael Carter led the nation in carries of 15 yards or more. He was more efficient. There we go. Out of the backfield, handling the exact same amount of carries, 157. Carter outproduced Williams, 1,245 yards. And the dude is phenomenal. Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. From like, this is crazy, right? From a fantasy points per touch, Carter outgained Williams by 1.2. That's ridiculous, right? By the amount that they had. He's 7th in yards per game, while being in the bottom half of the class in yards or in touches. Absolutely crazy. So you gotta like Michael Carter, man. I have not a lot more to say these guys haven't covered. So take it over to this guy who I absolutely adore. I gotta go check these rankings out. Make sure y'all can go sneak and get higher on me on this guy.
No, I've got him at 11. Chris has him at 5. Billy has him at 7, and Tom has him at 7. That's Chuba Hubbard. Here's my thing about
out of the North, baby, King of the North, Game of Thrones.
So to me, he reminds me a little bit of Chris Johnson. He's very fast, top line speed, but his hips look kind of tight to me, and it looks like he needs space to get that going. So this guy is a weapon that could go. The situation could make me love him or hate him, because I don't think he is an every down back in the same way that most of the, well, I guess outside Carter a little bit, most of the other guys are. He's 6 foot 207, so the size isn't really an issue, but I'd like him to be a bit thicker. And I think if he does get bigger, will he get slower? Because what makes him special is that really high level top end speed. And I'm not sure if he can create enough space to be that effective against a faster defense.
Yeah, I think I'm the lowest on Hubbard, and I just feel like he might be a bit of a an aspect of that.
I'm
offense.
11.
Yeah, okay, I'm higher than him, but I feel like that Oklahoma State offense, that's kind of just comes with the territory. He's another burner that they use, and just the way they get him into space really benefits him, like you said, Ryan. I mean, he ran a 4.36 at his pro day the other day. I've seen a couple times a little bit slower, but that one seems to be more realistic to what he looks like on film, watching him play. But he looks to find a path through traffic, and he accelerates. And sometimes it does look like he's a little bit slow, really getting that top-end speed. But if he's got the space to do it, he pulls. He pulls on everybody. He had a huge workload as a sophomore, 328 carries, 2,000 total yards, and a 6.4 yard per carry average that year, which was his career best on his biggest workload. He needs an offense with spread tendencies. He's not going to be a guy that's going to do a lot of between the tackles work. But he can handle a workload, but just he needs an offense that creates space.
So for me, this guy ranked the highest, right? Chuba Hubbard, my number 5 guy. I love the narrative. I lived on the cul-de-sac on Narrative Street. The dude out of the Great White North was playing in the frozen tundra, gets a look by the OSU coach by some happenstance. This should be like another Disney movie for this kid. Gets brought out of yes, you are correct, Billy, but gets brought out of the North to Oklahoma State to be a fighting cowboy, the junior, 6 foot 208. So right there where I like him, right? And a little bit more weight. But like Ryan mentioned, Chris Johnson ran that 4.29, I believe, 4.27. Chuba Hubbard a little bit bigger. 4.24. There we go. 4.24 on the pro day. But Chuba out of the pro day goes a 4.36. Like Ryan mentioned, that straight line speed is untouchable. Billy mentioned his sophomore or his redshirt sophomore year, 328 carries for over 2,000 yards. You got to evaluate that over his last, because his last season was very hectic. We kept mentioning that because this was one of the guys that I was telling y'all about, and we were following him, right? Through all the drama, through the injuries, is he really the real deal, or did he have an outlier? We will just have to see. A couple points for me is he had a 30% dominator rating. Remember what I told you about Najee at 32.9? The dudes out of Alabama who were really efficient in the NFL had less than 18. This guy's a 30% out of Oklahoma State. So you got to like what he does. That's fifth among all the runners in this class. A 5.51 yards per snap. Like, he's on the field blocking. He gets 5.51 yards. That's ridiculous. The next best to him, we'll talk about him. I believe either Billy or Ryan told me about him. But Elijah Mitchell, 4.5. You got to like that. So for me, Chuba, man, I just want him to do well because he's got such a good story. You know how much I love the narrative. So, Tom, what do you got on Chuba?
I got on Chuba.
Yeah.
On Chuba, because apparently Chris wanted to correct everyone about it. But
yeah, Chuba Hubbard. It just sounds a little bit better to me, but I get it. That's his name, Chuba.
Sounds
He's
funny.
Canadian.
Sounds like an Oklahoma thing.
It's total difference.
It sounds like a redneck name. There you go.
It just runs better together if it's Chuba. Yeah. It does.
But Chuba Hubbard, I do like the comparison that Ryan drew to Chris Johnson. I think he has that speed. I don't think it's a direct comparison. They're not one for one, but probably one of the better names to compare him to. And Billy, I'm glad that you brought up the touches, because even just going outside of that sophomore year, if you look at his 2.5 years at Oklahoma State, and this isn't accounting for anything else, carried the ball 585 times in 2.5 years. You guys have heard me talk about before about the number of touches a running back gets. I've talked about it at length with Zeke. And there's a certain point where running backs do tend to regress because of that workload. I think that it could be an issue for Hubbard here, going into the NFL. I don't know how long he'll last. And beyond that, personally, I'm a big fan of two types of running backs: either run you over, just smash into your mouth and knock you down, or a one-cut back, the Miles Sanders, type guy that you're going to make them miss and get upfield. Chuba, if he's not in a straight line running, is like a multi-cut guy that's trying to dink and dunk and make people miss. Now, if you make too many cuts, I'm not a big fan of it. So I think there's upside, but it's a rotational guy at best, and you're hoping for home runs.
Yeah, Ryan, I think we hit Chuba pretty well. Talk about this guy right here, because I know Billy's got a little bit more to talk about on this guy. Or is it on Billy?
It is Billy. Man,
I got to keep up with this. I'm doing too much.
I will start. I absolutely love Jamar Jefferson, Oregon State guy, 5'10", 217. So maybe on the slider side of that prototype build that we always talk about, Pinto, but he's definitely right on par. When you watch this guy play, this guy can absolutely fly. He pulls away from defenders unlike anybody in this class. We talked about Chuba Hubbard being fast. If you watch Jamar Jefferson, he's still pulling away from guys, with field to go. He just keeps accelerating. I love that kind of guy. I'm a sucker for those speed type dudes. And he's always looking for more yardage. He's balanced, fluid, moving through the defense. He really plays the running back position nicely for a guy that really has that breakaway speed. Sheds tackles with grace, doesn't lose speed in the process. I love how he stands up like a track guy when he's running down the field. But when he encounters a defender, right back to that running back body lean. I just feel like he really plays the position well. He fits so many different offenses, so I'm so high on this guy. Breakaway speed, vision, all the good stuff. Just a really pretty game from the running back position for Jamar Jefferson. Love this guy at Oregon State.
Yeah, man, go Beavers, man. The 4.64 or 4.68 40. At 18 years old, he rushed for almost 1,400 yards and 12 touchdowns. In the last 6 games of 2020, though, Jefferson put up 143 yards per game, which were career highs for him, a 6.5 career average at 3.67 per attempt, which grades him from weeks 10 through 16 in the college season, the second grade running back in the nation. That's pretty spot on. I might have to start watching film on this guy because my analytics and numbers aren't telling me the whole story, because obviously I'm not watching a lot of Oregon State football. But, Tom, I'm going to kick it over to you.
Yeah, as far as Jamar Jefferson goes, I will say I think his play is faster than his 40 time. He does do a very good job of making people miss. He's pretty elusive. But beyond that, he is inconsistent, right? Like there's games where he looks really good, the stats are great, and then you go to the next game and it's pretty mediocre. This isn't a guy I would want to rely on, especially from a fantasy perspective, game in and game out. But maybe somebody that, if he lands in the right spot behind a good offensive line, could be an interesting guy to pick up.
I had him at 10. Chris and Tom had him at 8, and Billy had him at 6. I think he hits the hole so fast. He has such burst when he goes into the hole. Capable receiver. He goes upfield and initiates contact. It's impressive. I think he's dangerous, but I think he might be a little bit too small for what the type of play he does.
So, Billy who kicked that off, Ryan or Billy?
Billy did.
You did? Oh, so it's back to me, I guess.
Yes,
Kalen
sir.
Hill out of VOD Tech, man. Wow. What can I say about this guy? I was not very high on him, I guess, compared to you guys. Let's look. Kalen Hill, I had him at 11. Ryan had him at 7, so Ryan, you get a little bit more. Billy at 9, Tom at 10. I'm not going to take too much longer on this guy just because I didn't have him very high. A 4.51 40. Obviously, he's versatile out of VOD Tech. They like to do that quick-footed stuff out of the backfield. He turns up the field a lot. What I can say about him is, where did I have that? His scrimmage yards per attempt are right on par with Najee, Travis, Javonte in that 6-point dot range. He's at 6.1, Najee 6.8, Etienne at a 6.9. Like, he's up there with these guys in talent. So, guys, tell me why I'm so low on him. Why are you so high on him?
So I'm not going to say I'm like super high on him. I think he's a good running back. Don't get me wrong. Decent speed, pretty solid pass catcher, but he doesn't make people miss, right? Like open field, he's not going to make somebody miss. He's not breaking tackles. So I think that this is going to be one that's really dependent on where he lands. I think if he lands somewhere with a good offensive line that's able to block for him, create holes, he'll do great. But if he lands on a team with a par or worse offensive line, it's going to be rough for him because he doesn't have that ability to beat a defender one-on-one.
Man, I just think my first take on him, I was lower because I think he looked a little tight somehow. But he's such an athlete. He's very dual threat. I think he's viable in the league right now. My brother Patrick was like, nah, you need to take another look at Kylan Hill. And I did. And the second time I saw it, it looked a little bit better to me. So he moved up. I don't think I'll see him get much higher than this for me. I mean, 7 is distinctly higher than what you guys have on him for y'all. So, but I think that, again, he's a safer floor guy with maybe not the type of the ceiling of the guys above him, but I do think he will be a serviceable back in this league.
Yeah, he checks a lot of boxes. 5'11", 210, like somebody mentioned before. But he plays with that old school body lean, something I really love to see from the running back position. Finishes runs, and he does have the ability to set you up. Typically, when he's bouncing outside, he's got a little bit of a hip motion that he kind of gets guys on and gets outside, even when his speed isn't going to carry him there. But I kind of like that. He's a smooth glider. He runs with visual effort. He's trying hard, always pushing as much as he can. And you better like the tackle if you're going to bring him down in the open field. 3 years of 5+ yards per carry, or 4 years actually. 3 years of 5+ yards per carry. This last season, a little bit of dip, only in 3 games and limited action though, however, so we won't count that. And he did lead the SEC in rushing in 2019, and he had increased production each year in the SEC before not seeing the field much in 2020 with an early injury, some awkward drama with Mike Leach, but I led him to opting out this year. But he's a pretty polished runner, has some runs where he breaks tackles, cuts out of trouble, hurdles a guy. I mean, he makes some highlight runs. I think this guy translates probably better to the NFL as a running back than he was in college.
Muted. Rip.
40 episodes in, and I still mute myself when I talk. I'm sorry. It wouldn't be the fancy first rounders if I didn't do it, right?
I know. If you ever make it through, I'll be disappointed.
Like, damn, that dude's an alien this time.
Yeah, where did Pinto go?
Tom, talk about Elijah Mitchell.
All right, Elijah Mitchell, Louisiana, Lafayette. Gotta add that part in. It's not just Louisiana. Louisiana, Lafayette. They're fancy. I don't know. I like this kid. Right? I like this guy. He was pretty, consistent throughout his 3 years in Louisiana there. Sophomore year, over 1,300 yards. Runs downhill, runs people over. Doesn't let guys bring him down, first chance. Like it's first guy's not making the tackle more often than not. Biggest concern with him is if he starts going, east to west rather than north south, he's in trouble, right? Like I don't know about you guys, but if you've seen film of him, it seems like when he starts going outside trying to make things happen, he starts going backwards and he starts trying to do too much, and that's a tough habit to break. I've seen that really ruin guys. So that's my biggest concern with him.
Yeah, I had him ranked highest. I had him at 9, Chris at 13, and Tom at 13, and Billy at 12. Don't get me wrong. I was a little bit influenced by what, if I'm not mistaken, a 4.3 240 at 5'11", 201. Woo! And a 37.5-inch vert shows me a lot of explosiveness. I like Elijah Mitchell. He's got a rare speed size combo that a couple of guys in this draft have, but I like his. He out-athleted a lot of the competition that he was playing against at ULala. raw but talented. He made some wow plays, incredible upside. He has finishing power. I like what Billy was saying. He runs a little bit upright in open space, and then he lowers when he gets close to contact. He looks a bit like a sprinter in the open field. He wasn't as consistent as you'd like to see, but the upside for me is just tantalizing.
Yeah, not a whole lot to add. I mean, this is a guy I wasn't real high on at number 12. I just don't like his game real well. I mean, there's just nothing really super special or sexy about it that really draws you to it. He's just pretty good. To me, this is a guy I could see being like a backup to Zeke Elliott. He'd be a really good fit to kind of run the same offense and do that kind of thing. Definitely not that kind of talent, but in Dallas behind that big O-line seems like a good fit for this guy to carve out some playing time.
And take 2 of Chris being muted.
Okay. The only thing I'm going to say about this, wow, we had a jump in people watching too while I'm all muted. That's fair. The only thing I want to talk about this Elijah Mitchell guy is, Tom, remember our War Room League last year? Who was the guy that I picked up off the waivers week 1 that led me to the championship? James Robinson. Where did we hear about that? From our guy, Ryan. I've got Elijah Mitchell. I don't like to comp people, right? And I'm not comping his game to this game. I'm just saying Elijah Mitchell could be this year's James Robinson. You look at, I'm not going to talk about any of these numbers because you guys already talked about it, but you heard it first. James Robinson, Ryan told me about him last year, picked him up, led me the championship. Elijah Mitchell could be that same guy like out of ULala. So let's keep it moving, right? We want to get to 40 different profiles halfway through. So Herbert, baby.
Khalil Herbert. Yeah, so I am an outlier here. We've got Billy's got him at 9, Chris and Tom at 10, and I have him at 20. And again, I feel really bad now with seeing y'all's rankings and other people's rankings. I'm like, yeah, I actually think he's fast kid. He's small, but he runs bigger than he is. Good hands, good balance, tough and elusive. He has good vision. I don't think he has elite speed, but he doesn't get caught often. He did well against what I consider to be some subpar competition. Some of his biggest games were against teams like Duke, which is not exactly like a chump school, but this isn't like the SEC. You're not playing against. So I'm concerned about his size a little bit, even though he's pretty thick. It's just his style of play with his size. And there's so many guys I like that I kept pushing Khalil Herbert down. And I was like, oh my God, I have him at 20 now. I do like him, but God, there's so many backs that when I'm looking at the potential and the upside, I see more of it in other places.
Yeah, to me, he's a very similar player to Chuba Hubbard with some Javonte Williams similarities to me. That read option, one cut and go type guy, breaks a lot of big plays, not quite the breakaway speed of Hubbard. He stays just out of arm's reach when he's breaking some of these runs. 8.9 and 7.6 yards per carry over his last 2 seasons at Kansas for a bit, then Virginia Tech. He has fewer than 500 carries in 5 collegiate seasons, though, so that kind of worries me from just an experience standpoint. Like, he's just not that polished of a running back, even though, obviously you see the athleticism. So to me, it may be a year or 2 before we see him really take it to the next level, but he does have speed to, be used maybe on special teams, that kind of thing. Wherever he goes, you're going to see him make some splash plays here and there throughout the year.
Mute button's off, baby, so I'm live. The mic is hot. Sorry if you were watching this. Obviously, I messed up on the banner. Herbert does not play for Mississippi State. He plays for Virginia Tech. So I was just looking at that real quick. That's my bad. Herbert, the 4.44, the 4.4640, great build, right where you want to see him. This is really cool, though. He's tied with Patterson with yards after contact, 4.76. But among the class, he's only second behind breakaway yards to Najee at 736. That's crazy from this guy who is 5'9", 212, essentially. He's got the Keyshawn Vaughn essentially stigma right now, just because he's 23 by the time the draft or by the time next season happens, be like 24. I like the kid. There's something about him like that Keyshawn Vaughn, like I mentioned earlier, I just can't get rid of. So That's really all I got about Herbert. And then I didn't realize what school he played for. So that's my bad.
I'll tell you what, I'm pretty interested in him. And the closest comparison in this draft I found is Michael Carter, right? I'm not trying to say they're on the same level. Obviously, I think Michael Carter's a much better running back going into the draft. But size-wise, almost the same weight. Herbert's an inch taller. But interestingly enough, if I could talk today, has shorter arms, smaller wingspan, smaller hands, right? So that catch radius isn't going to be quite as big. But when you watch him play, he does a very impressive job of catching balls away from his body, staying in bounds with it, and keeping the play downfield. Pretty decent blocker, actually. So there's not a lot I don't like aside from his size. He's not a guy that's going to run you over or going to be running up the middle much, but could be a very good, second, third string running back. And somebody like Washington used last year that you can put into the slot and he can catch the ball very well. Yeah, JB Cho, sneaky pick. I think it's a lot like Washington last year where Ryan was a big fan of those guys, that they were able to move running backs around into different spots and make them very viable in fantasy.
Yeah, so the next guy we got here, I'm not sure where we're at as a group, number 12. I'm a little bit lower at 14 on Ramondre Stevenson, running back from Oklahoma. I mean, this guy is just an absolute monster. 6 foot, 246. But for a 246-pound running back, he has really, really good lateral quickness. He doesn't look like he's moving too fast, but he does get loose and make some big splash plays. And defenders just seem to miss, even though he's not the most speedy guy. He reminds me of Derrick Henry, the way he kind of slides to the outside. Not necessarily that talent or that speed, being that he does get caught from behind, but just something about the way he gets out there kind of gives you a look like that. But his quickness allows him to break some nice gashing runs up the middle, even though he gets reeled in. But I just like that about a guy 246. Got a little wiggle on the outside along the sideline, and he could be a really good player, but just that size is going to be really dependent on where he lands for his success.
Yeah, for me, I was high on this, or I felt like I was high on him, but not really compared to some people. 6 foot 246, 4.6, 440. He ranks second in the nation and yards per attempt at 4.7 among the 2021 draft eligible running backs, only behind Herbert, the guy that we just talked about. So this guy, big bruiser, we'll see what he can do. Tom, what do you think about him?
Do you want to know the one word that comes to mind with him?
Sure.
Vulture.
We haven't seen one of those in a while.
Am I wrong, though? Like, he's not an every down guy. You're not sticking him in at the 50 very often. That's not going to be his bread and butter. His bread and butter is the fact that he's 6 foot 246. You throw him in at the goal line in a jumbo set, he's running the ball into the end zone. He is going to run through anybody in front of him. He's going to vulture touchdowns wherever he lands. That's my thought, at least.
It's the guy is pure power, but he does look light on his feet and shifty. I see Todd Gurley, but like a slower, not quite as talented version of him. He's going to be a goal line specialist mostly, which is why none of us are really that excited about him, but he will be fantasy viable.
Sure. Keep it going, Billy.
All right. Are we on Chris Evans? Okay. So let me find my notes here.
Or was it to me?
Oh,
no, it's on Larry. We're on Jarrett Patterson. It is to you, Chris.
Yeah, I thought so too. Okay, cool.
Oh, I must mess that up. I got Chris Evans over Jarrett Patterson. That's fine.
Take it away, man.
Going live, baby, Jarrett Patterson. So obviously, there's a couple moments, and I mentioned this on Stephen Pintada's show on the fantasy coaches last week. There's a couple moments in your life, and I'm a degenerate for fantasy football and football in general, that you remember to a T. 9/11 was one of them for me. Jarrett Patterson was another one. Not comparing them to or saying that they're similar. I'm just saying in my mind, I remember to a T what happened when I first found out about Jarrett Patterson. It was Thanksgiving of this past year, Buffalo game, where old boy had 8 touchdowns in the game. And we're watching pro football, we're drinking, we're having fun, we're playing family poker. We got all the food going, we got the kids running around. It's super fun. And on my phone, I get Jarrett Patterson, Buffalo, second touchdown. Cool. Third touchdown. Oh, really? Fourth touchdown. Eyebrows are like, okay, we need to turn this game on. Fifth touchdown, sixth touchdown. Okay, we're going home now, right? I'm listening to this game in the car. His 8 touchdowns. The dude is just like, he's what you want in Buffalo. Not only because he's played at Buffalo, he's a hometown kid, right? 5'9", 195, 4.38 40. He's had 3 seasons in a row with 1,000 rushing yards. Remember that dominator ring I talked about earlier with Najee? What was that, like a 38 point something? That was really good. Talk about something better. This guy's got a 40% dominator rating from PFF. That is absolutely ridiculous in 2019. Now, you thought that was great? Last year in 2020, a 43% dominating. That's the highest grade PFF has ever given out for a college running back out of the backfield. That's absolutely crazy. I guess I'll get off my soapbox, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, so you brought up that one game. How many touchdowns did you say he ended with?
Touchdowns in that game? I want to say 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In back-to-back weeks against Bowling Green, he put up 31 attempts for 301 and 4 touchdowns, averaging 9.7 a carry. And then the following week went into at home against Kent. 36 attempts, 409 yards for 11.4 carry and 8 touchdowns. I mean, that is terrifying stats, even if they're against meh teams. I mean, personally, what I see in him is a 3rd or 4th running back on a roster. But with the right opportunity, he could be, find consistency if he's able to get, some back-to-back games and he's able to start getting his feet wet in the NFL. But again, I see him just a high upside, but very low floor.
Yeah, for me, Jarrett Patterson, he was so good against inferior opposition. He is shifty and fast, but he had humongous games that boosted up those stats. And there wasn't a lot of – some of those games were not so great because he went like nuclear in some of those other games and made him look like he had a crazy big year. But in reality, he had a couple really huge games. And he is small. That's my concern, is that he's a little too small. He's great burst. He's quick to get the top speed, shifty, good balance. This guy could be a playmaker, but 5'7", 195, and one of the things that I'm weirdly concerned with is he only had a 30-inch vertical, which is like one of the lowest in the class. I tend to use that representation for explosiveness. And so the fact that 30-inch vertical is probably better than any one of us guys. Okay. But when I look at the other guys around him, 8-10 inches more on their verts, I'm like, that shows me a little bit of his explosiveness might be missing. And a 4.52 is for that size, you want to see a little bit more.
Yeah, to me, this it's Jarrett Sproles for me. This guy is Darren Sproles all over again. Just that Mighty Mouse kind of feel. And I hope the Chargers draft him just because of that. 3,800 yards, 52 touchdowns in 32 games. He has deceptive speed in the open field. You see a lot of guys miscalculate their pursuit angles. They end up looking at the taillights with this guy. Definitely a complement player to a guy that's going to handle the workload a little bit more. However, he's a weapon, and he's going to make some really big plays. But his workload's going to be limited as he gets into the NFL. Just size alone, he's not going to get 200 carries.
That's fair. Captain America, Tom, a guy that I thought was this guy was not. Jarrett Patterson was the guy. So talk about Chris Evans, Tom.
Well, before we get into Chris Evans, I just want to say what's up to our man Scott Davis here in the chat. Scott, I got some good news for you. You and Tiffany won free entry for couples this year in the St. Jude Bowl. So make sure you message us. We'll get you hooked up, get you in there. Just wanted to thank you guys for tuning into the show every week. Scott Davis, one of our most loyal followers here.
Yeah.
But with that being said, Chris Evans out of Michigan, definitely not quite Captain America. I have him. Chris, actually, I think both of us had him at 20. Billy at 11. Ryan at 8. Personally, I don't see a great ball carrier here. Like he can run downhill, but that's about it. He had one good year in his sophomore season, and that just kind of kept dipping after that from my observation. But Ryan, you definitely had him up a lot higher. What'd you see?
Well, he's got that prototypical size we were talking about, 5'11", 211, ran a 4.4, 440. Also, check this out, 40.5-inch vertical. Again, that's 10.5 inches more than Patterson. He has great hands, so he's dual threat. He's really athletic. He lacked the volume, but to me, that's not concerning because some of the plays were just absolutely wow. I got wowed watching some of his film. He plays with power and speed together. He has every move, breaks ankles, run stuff. He's a sleeper for me. Obviously, you can see with the differentiation in our rankings. I'm really like when I reiterated wow with highlights. I always see him in total control of his body. He has this weird bend where he can like change the upper half of his body while his feet are still running in a straight line. He has like body control unlike anything I'd ever seen, and he doesn't slow down when he does it. I'm really high on Chris Evans. I love the size. I love the speed. I love that he doesn't have so much of a heavy workload, and I think if he goes in the right position, this also could be your James Robinson, although he may be drafted. I think those are going to get some attention on him.
Yeah, so Chris Evans for me is a guy I really overlooked. Like I must not have watched any Michigan football this year. I don't know why. I don't remember these guys for anything. But as I dove into this guy, he's as shifty as they come. He can make you miss in a phone booth. He uses multiple moves to create big runs, weaving through traffic. But he seems smaller than his 215-pound list. But that's based on his play style, not necessarily his performance. He keeps it simple behind the line of scrimmage. He follows his blocks really well, as much as anybody. It's almost obvious. He's just kind of flowing with the lead blocker, and I just kind of like to see that. He keeps it simple. Eyeball test, I see Percy Harvin when he has the ball in his hands, the way he kind of gets going downfield. He'll be a complement to a two-down back in the NFL, but he'll be that spark, a big play guy who may see some time out in the slot. The way he catches the ball, he's a wide receiver. He has that skill set.
Yeah, Captain America for me, I'm sorry, a 4.44 40. I have a 220-pound guy, essentially, right? Wet. It's kind of like the whole, what is it? Not Trey Sermon. Regardless, who I'm talking about, who I'm thinking about, you have to look back to his 2018 season where he was super, super good versus when he got hurt, all that kind of stuff. I like Chris Evans, but I just don't think he's going to be that high. I was low on him, so I'm going to have to do a little bit more research. But regardless, guys, let's keep it moving, right? I think this is our next guy out of Mizzou. Am I right? Did I just mess up those last two? So Larry Roundtree. Nope, not even. I'm wrong.
No, yeah.
Right.
That's who I got.
Good.
Yeah, you're right.
Me too.
Larry Roundtree III out of Mizzou, baby. So, Ryan, I think you're kicking this one off, right?
Is it me? Am I Larry Roundtree? I'm sorry, guys. I didn't realize that was Larry Roundtree. All right. So
I didn't
Larry
even know
Roundtree.
what Larry Roundtree was supposed to be who we were talking about, so we're good.
We are all good. He's a bit slow, guys, but he's dual threat. He runs big. Even though he's slow, he has excellent acceleration and bursts into the hole. He's an athlete, but he can be a power guy, but not always. He's got great balance. He's tough. The acceleration for me is what does it for me with Roundtree. Like when I look at the numbers, he was at above 5 yards per carry his first 2 years, above 4.5 his second 2 years. He had decent volume, decent touchdown numbers, played, relatively effective in the receiver. I think this guy can be a quality player in this league rather than like a superstar stud. I see him as a perennial backup.
Yeah, kind of the same look for me. I've got him at number 15. He does play like a natural running back. He had a solid college workload, 3,700 yards, 40 touchdowns, that 5 yard per carry career average you mentioned, Brian. Nothing to shake a stick at. Very balanced guy, feels contact when he's navigating traffic. I just don't know if I see an NFL ability within all those skills. Just a really good college running back, in my opinion.
Mandela effect happening, baby. Out of Mizzou, SEC, 5'10", 211. Apparently he ran in the 4.6s, nothing very official. He's a consistent ball carrier for me. I really don't have anything negative to say except for his size. He needs to just go downhill, right? When I'm looking at his numbers, though, and this is what really doesn't get me too excited, is that he's kind of in the bottom half in a lot of these categories I look at, right? Like PPR points per touch or per game. He's down at, where is he? A 13.4, which is only better than two other guys in the class who scored 12.9, 12.8. So not too terribly excited about him, but I see what you're saying. In the right situation, obviously Mizzou wasn't the greatest place for him. The offensive line wasn't that great. So we'll just have to see what he can do.
Yeah, I mean, I will say the biggest gripe I had in the bit of film I saw on him is that it's another guy that gets in trouble trying to go side to side, right? Like if he stays going downfield, he's okay. But as soon as he starts trying to get outside and make people miss, it's a wrap. He can't do it. And that 4.6 speed, that shows it. He's not going to get separation from anybody. So, but you get somebody with a good line, doesn't have a running back, maybe he could do okay.
So that takes us to Billy with Ragus.
Trey Ragus.
Trey Ragus, yeah,
Raging
Louisiana guy.
Cajun.
Yeah, the Raging Cajuns, man. I think I'm the lowest on him. I have him at 20. They call him the bulldozer, and he plays like it. He does do some impressive stuff, but I see some things that I just don't particularly like out of a running back. Sometimes he gets his feet a little close together and kind of slows his momentum behind the line of scrimmage. He's not a particularly quick or fast guy to really make up for that. And I see sometimes his feet kind of get choppy when he's going to make cuts. So being a bigger guy like that, the skill set's there for being that power back. I just don't see him being an every down back in the NFL. Split some time in college. Did have some decent stats, some fun stuff, but not a guy I'm terribly high on. I think I'm the lowest in the group.
Excuse me. So this guy TR for me out of the Raging Cajuns, man, I partied with these guys down in Louisiana before. Big old build. Obviously his 40 was not that great. And you know what I'm going to say? That he was probably one of the only guys that was not getting clocked quick by his coach. His coach was probably actually a little slow on him. So bring back the combine, right, guys? But after redshirting in 2016, the dude has posted at least, guys, 9 touchdowns and 775 yards per rushing yards per season. He's a straight line runner, guys. I like this kid. I like the build. I think that he can get some work. I think he's better than Zach Moss, if you would, right? Kyle Shanahan would love this guy in his offense. He had a huge workload. Was it 596 total carries in 49 games? That usage is very, very high, as we know, as we are fans of JT touchdown, right? But we also know guys that can handle this kind of workload in college also, knock on wood, can handle that kind of workload in the NFL. Rarely do they get hurt, knock on wood, like I said. But the dude is a beast, so I like him.
Yeah, I mean, you already knocked on, he's a straight line guy. He's not making cuts. He's not making people miss. He's a big boy, right?
Houston Texans would love him. 5th running back.
Maybe not the worst one. Biggest thing he could probably do is kind of vulture. Again, he's another one of these guys that if you in the right situation where you have a smaller, lightweight back as your number 1 back, he could come in as your number 2 back and line up in goal line situations and take those touchdowns. But beyond that, I don't see him being a great running back in the NFL.
This guy's a bully. He plays bully ball, and he's an effective receiver, which he's going to be a nightmare in goal line packages for defenses. He can make moves, but not to make guys miss, to change direction, to go forward. He's always finding a way forward. For his side, power is his game, and he is very powerful. I know he was playing at smaller school, but he just ran through. Watching some of the film, he's just running through people over and over again. This is a guy that had at one point a 7.1 yards per carry average in 2019, and he never went below 5.7. Again, like you said, Pinto, never less than 9 TDs. I like the production. I like the way he runs physical. He likes to deliver punishment.
Bring him to Chicago.
Yeah, maybe.
So we only have a couple more guys. I didn't think we were going to get this far. Let's push through it, right? We got this guy, the UCLA Bruin, baby. Wasn't Ryan supposed to start this? Who's supposed to start this one?
I'll take it for him.
Take it for him, Billy.
There you go.
I'm sorry.
Metric Felton.
I'm sorry, guys. I didn't realize I was starting Demetric Felton.
There you
Go
go.
ahead,
All right. I'm the lowest on him. I have him at 28. Chris has him at 14, Tom 15, and Billy 18. So for me, what did I not like about Felton? Well, look, there's not a lot. Look, again, this is a testament to a lot of the guys in this draft. I fell in love with a few of them, and my rankings are a bit not standard. He's dynamic in the open field, but he played wide receiver for 3 years. He's a problem in space. He's electric. He's shifty. He's a fantastic receiver, obviously, from his 3 years. So he has some of that Gibson-esque quality to him, but he's not really a power runner. Gibson is a 240-pound back. Felton is a 189-pound back. He's more of a legitimate receiver, and there is a chance he may actually play receiver in the NFL. He's powerful for a wide receiver, right? He's not powerful for a running back, but for a wide receiver, he has power. And he's got the whole toolbox full of jukes and stuff. He's slippery. He's very dynamic. But for me, the size is going to be an issue, and I do see it wouldn't shock me if he ended up playing receiver in this league.
Yeah, not a guy I had a ton of exposure to. Just don't watch a ton of Pac-12 or UCLA football. However, this is a guy that I like pretty good. I mean, at 18, it's more of a testament, like Ryan said, to the rest of this draft class. 5'10", 200, a little bit more slight than I like to see for a kid coming out. But he's an elusive guy. He's an elusive runner, a spread kid. Hasn't had a huge workload, but he's a smooth runner. Really shows patience in the screen game running behind his O-line. So a testament to his receiving skills. Another spread big play kid who can house at any time. Nice change of direction. For me, this guy could go up very high or drop a little bit, just depending on where he lands in this draft.
Fair enough. I mean, I like the assessment, Scott. I don't know if I can take anything else in Houston but an offensive lineman or trading the pick for something else. We'll talk about that later because I was the Houston Texans GM in a 32-man mock, and I traded back to get some more picks, things like that. For Felton, for me, man, like a 4.55 40 at that big body is great. A 30% dominator rating, so obviously not as high as like Najee, but right there on the cusp of it. 800 yards from scrimmage and 11 touchdowns in just 6 games is electric for me. Excuse me. At the Senior Bowl, he lit it up. He was versatile. He had the most form from 20-plus carries per game that you could ever say about any one of these cats in this class. I like him. Obviously, landing spot, Schrodinger's cat is going to be everything for me with this guy. But I was very low on Antonio Gibson last year, and look where Antonio Gibson ended this year. So nothing is off the board with Felton. Let's keep it moving to
what? I don't get to say anything?
Son of a biscuit. I forgot about you, Tom. You've been gone for like 6 weeks, so.
Hey, it's been 2.
Fair enough. It's like 6 weeks in the Twitter world.
Well, I'm going to keep it quick here. The most interesting comparison I drew was size, right? Tyreek Hill, very similar size. About an inch off and about, less than 10 pounds. That 40 time, though, is way off. Hey, if he can bulk up just a little bit and not lose any speed, maybe he's a mix of Tyreek and Gibson. I don't know. I think we're grasping for straws on that one. But I don't think he could be entirely unusable in the right team. Hey, Houston could be it because they don't have a lot of receivers or running backs that are super usable.
Billy, this is where you're supposed to start talking.
Billy. I guess it's
Sorry about that. So the next guy here, Puka Williams, 5'10", 170 running back out of Kansas. A really exciting player, but that 170-pound frame, a little slight to be really playing running back in the NFL, as electric as he is. Ran between the tackles all right in college, but like I said, size probably going to be an issue for that game. I see him likely moving to play some wide receiver in the NFL. He has the hands and the run after catch ability to make an immediate impact, I think. Just the way he catches the ball, you can tell he might be better suited for that slot guy with that quickness and that skill set out in the open field. I see Dante Hall when he's running. Something about his running form just kind of reminds me of him, so I'm hoping he goes to the Chiefs and makes a little impact returning punts and kicks.
Yeah, so I was really high on Puka Williams from the beginning, right? Just from get-go. A Kansas Jayhawk, right? The 4.38 40, the fast speed, the elusive with his body size that Billy all mentioned. I'm always going to talk about these PFF grades, right? Because I value that so much. His single season highest PFF dominator rank was a 32% dominator rank. That's crazy. 1,145 yards, 288 yards receiving. He had back-to-back seasons with at least a 22% dominating, which is the single highest out of anyone in the class, which earned him a 97 point something for PFF all together. Those accolades aside, though, his vision's great. He's like a Le'Veon Bell, right? Like he waits for the blocks, all that kind of jazz, all that kind of stuff. I think he's NFL ready. With the Patriots letting go of James White, this could be a great landing spot for Bill Belichick and Puka Williams in my mind. What do you think, Tom?
I'll tell you what. I was really high on him when he came into college. You look at his freshman year, 2018, 161 attempts for over 1,100 yards, 7 touchdowns. It was about 7 yards per carry. But it just kind of went downhill from there, and I'm not sure what to think if he can translate into the NFL, because you look at sophomore year, 202 attempts, just over 1,000 yards, 5.2 per carry, and only 3 touchdowns. And then 2020, obviously only a partial season for him, only played 4 games, but he was down to 4 yards per carry, only getting about 200 yards on 50 attempts. I like his skill set. I think he could be an effective guy in the league, possibly, but I just have questions about is he really just on the decline from freshman year of college on?
Yeah, he won't be in the NFL at running back, I don't think. He's just too small. It's remarkable how light he is. This was another one where we were way off. I had him at where are we? 31. Y'all had him at 16, and 14 for Tom. I cannot get over the fact that he's so little. I like how dynamic he is and electric, but he's a special teams guy for me, and I don't think he'll play very many downs at running back. He can't pass block. He's tiny. He's a good receiver, and he does play. He's so much stronger than 170. What does that make him, 180? Like, to me, I'm super concerned with the fact that he's 170 pounds. I mean, what 170-pound running backs do y'all know of that are successful?
Tyreek Hill.
If this guy was 190, this guy's
190 would be better.
He's probably a top 10 guy for me.
Yes, I'm
skill
better.
set.
I agree.
Look, all I can say is a lot of people looked at some guy and was like, what they say, Tom? Like 180, 600. And not a lot of people looked at him and said, quarterback.
6 foot, 180 pound.
All right, so he's a lot bigger
kid.
than Puka. My bad.
From Virginia.
Yeah, he's a lot bigger than Puka.
On a dime.
He does throw it on a dime.
If y'all don't know what we're talking about an inside joke. Trace McSorley is like our dude, man. Gardner Minshew, number 1. Trace McSorley, next up.
1B.
1A, 1B.
Yeah.
That's it, baby.
I only got eyes for Minshew.
That's fair.
Real quick. If y'all have not seen the pictures that he has been posting lately, the Mississippi mud flap is alive and well, boys.
Gardner,
Good.
This is like our 40th episode, and every episode I'm pretty sure we talk about you, man. We got to get you on here soon. We're going to keep on keeping on because you know what? We believe in you. You're going to get a starting job somewhere in the NFL, and we're going to love it. Are we done with Puka right now? We're going to move on to Hawkins?
Yeah, that Mississippi mud flap is setting the bar right now, Tom. And
Yes.
It's setting the bar way up there, too.
I agree.
So Javian Hawkins, right? Who gets to start him? Because he's
You.
interesting.
You,
That's
man.
you, Pinto.
A sophomore out of Louisville, baby. Lamar Jackson's alma mater. Y'all know how much I love Lamar. 5'9", 196, and a 4.3 something 40. I'm going to say like a 4.3 sub 40 was like a 4.38, whatever would you want to say. Impressive all the way around. He's like that, like I mentioned, Ryan last year, who was it? KJ Hamler, the jitterbug, like the twitchiness, right? That's what I get from. Maybe I was talking to Tom about that, but like I get the twitchiness out of this kid. I like him. Obviously, he's not that high up, not in the elite category, not in the sub-elite category, but in the serviceable category of his, like, you know, a 5'9", 196 James Whitt guy that I mentioned earlier, right? I think this guy has a lot of abilities. Here is the one thing that I'm going to say before I pass it to Tom. In 21 career targets, he's had 0 drops. Come on with them sure-fired hands, baby. Tom, you got it.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely an interesting guy, right? He is small. That's a little bit of a concern. And, I mean, Louisville, not the ideal place for pass catching, considering that was Lamar's alma mater. They don't know what throwing a football means. But they know running backs because Lamar Jackson went there. I do like this kid, though. I think that if you use him in creative ways, you know, kind of that 49ers offense, a lot of, jet sweeps, motions, lining guys up in different spots, he could be a great asset for a team like that. He has good speed, able to make people miss, not going to break tackles when you make contact, though. So there are limitations, but could be a good flexible guy that you can have as a running back / receiver. He could be your 3 or 4 running back and your 4, 5, or 6 receiver on your depth chart.
I see a lot of Chuba Hubbard in him. Fast, quick, big play dependent. There wasn't a lot of consistent production throughout his career. I thought that one of my biggest concerns was he always looks to make a big play, try for the home run hit, and doesn't sometimes take what is there for him. But you got to like the 5.8 and the 6.2 yards per carry the last 2 years. He had the volume in 2019. But again, only 9 touchdowns with 1,525 yards on 264 attempts. Like, I'd like to see more touchdowns. I'm afraid that in the NFL, he's going to be touchdown poor a little bit. And that's just going to hurt the bottom line when you look at what you're trying to get in fantasy for fantasy purposes.
Yeah, so I feel like I'm kind of low on him. I don't like some of his game, but like I tell you guys all the time, I'm such a sucker for these guys that can bust one play. You know, a guy that can give you one 60-yard touchdown can make or break your fantasy day. And I'm a sucker for those guys that don't have to have a big workload or a big opportunity to help you out. And this is one of those guys, really. I mean, he can really open it up. Any play could be the big one. He does run like a track guy. Meaning that, contact brings him down, and it doesn't have to be significant contact. It just seems like when he's rolling, you touch him, he goes down, and that's kind of a negative trait for a running back, right? He tries to bounce outside a lot, like instinctively. He gets the ball, he looks outside, and you'll even see him stop and reverse field sometimes to make a lot of his big plays. And look, that's just not going to work at the NFL level. The defensive ends are going to be able to track him on stuff like that. So I wish I would see him keep the vision down and within the scheme a little bit more than he does. But he's a playmaker for sure. You have to get the ball in his hands and just let him do what he does. And that's look and dance for that home run. And if he hits one of those for you a week, you're in pretty good shape.
Could be an interesting punt returner.
Definitely a punt returner style guy. He would do well, I'm sure.
Hey, it's fun, Chris. It might not be fantasy fun, but it's fun to watch. And number 3 muted.
Yes.
Real high.
Look, guys, I told my wife this today, okay? We go to Chick-fil-A we go to Chick-fil-A often, right? But we go to Chick-fil-A every Wednesday prior to the stream because it's like, I don't want to cook. I cook a lot. My wife cooks a lot. But on Wednesdays, our stream, I got a lot of stuff going on. I want to get everything right. And we go to Chick-fil-A for breakfast. I get almost the same thing every time. And today, it was wrong. When I know my Chick-fil-A order is wrong, I know my day is going to be a little off, right? Because Chick-fil-A, they're elite. They're nausea elite. You know what I'm saying? They don't make mistakes. They don't make mistakes, so I don't check the bag when I get it. And I should have, but I didn't.
The Lord just dropped right in there.
They won't,
but it's okay because today was a bad day, but I still worked through it, still kept a smile on my face. I got angry. I said some bad words, but it's okay because I think we're on our last guy tonight, right?
Number 20.
Number 20, our 40th episode together. We've got 40 rookie profiles, and we haven't even talked wide receivers. I challenge another crew out there, another podcast, to have that many draft profiles prior to the draft together on a live stream, debating and talking, and I'll even say drinking as much as us. Drinking has nothing to do with it, but that leads to the talking, right? A little bit. Who's kicking off Boyd?
I guess that's me.
Excellent. I wanted to
Tom
finish
brought up the mic.
way.
I don't have a whole lot to say, to be honest. I don't dislike Boyd, right? He runs well downhill, not great outside. We did see, I think it was 2019, some creativity in how they used him, moving him around on the field, jet sweeps, etc. And it was interesting, but he's not that top tier back that you're going to bring him in to do those things. Like you're not going to say, oh, I have Rakeem Boyd, I'm going to run jet sweeps and, splitting him out wide or any of that stuff. Like that's not what he's there for. But we've seen he has some ability to do it at least. So could be an interesting, really late round pick as a depth guy. And hey, you bring him in every once in a while, see what he can do. But that's about it.
Yeah. Rakeem Boyd, he's a weapon as a receiver, and I think he's faster than that 40 speed. I think, what did he run, a 4.5 something? I think he's faster than that. He makes really big plays, but he's not the grinder type of running back that I'm looking for. He doesn't have like the finishing power, but when he gets space, he gets crazy momentum going. And he's I group him in a lot of similar ways to he's a bigger version, maybe not bigger. He's more like a he's a home run hitter. I'm not overly impressed with him. Otherwise, I actually have him ranked much lower than y'all. I'm at 32, where you're at 8, Chris at 18, and Billy and Tom at 19. These burner guys for me, if I don't see a lot of the touchdowns that could be coming or a lot of the utility, and I just see them as gadget guys, like I have the couple last two guys, I kind of just push him down lower on my overall rankings. Obviously, he could go skyrocketing up the board if the situation becomes something that I'm like, okay, he's in a place where he's going to get real run, maybe in the slot, because, again, I love his receiving ability. But otherwise, I just think his upside's real limited.
Yeah, Ryan, you read my notes here on Rakeem Boyd. I have long stride, big play machine, and any play could be the big one. I love those guys. That's why he's up here for me. But we'll see where he ends up, and based on that, the buzz could pick up. But really a situational guy for me as well, coming out of Arkansas.
Guys, it wouldn't be a fancy first round episode if I didn't finish the episode with a tale. Oh, fuck. I'm not on mute. Damn it. Okay. I was just going. I was like, damn, am I really on mute? I'm laying this thick. Laying it real thick for you guys. So, guys, I'm not on mute. I'm going to let you know on this little tale, right? I love Narrative Street. Guys, this guy's moving up in my rankings tonight. Because, like I mentioned prior, I'm not changing my rankings prior to the draft because it's my gut. But I'm looking at this guy, and I'm looking at other guys. This guy's rough. He's tough. He's a journeyman. You know how I know he's a journeyman? He's been through the shit. You know what that means? The boy, Rakeem Boyd, out of New Orleans, Louisiana, a 4.5 40, 6 feet tall, 208-pound senior out of the Arkansas Razorback backfield. Boy, that's not where he's been. Everything led him to here because as a true freshman, he was in College Station at Texas A&M. he didn't pan out there, didn't want to be there any longer. It's okay. He went to the Nor'easters of northeastern Oklahoma, A&M. If y'all don't know who that is, I think it might ring a bell to you. It is the guys from Netflix, Last Chance U, baby. JUCO national champions. He won it for him, boy. He was the man. I'm talking about Rakeem Boyd, a.k.a. the monster of Last Chance U. And now he went to Arkansas Razorbacks, boy, as a senior. You look at the numbers, and they're definitely skewed. And that's one thing, right, we got to look at. Because we're analytics guys, and we look at these numbers. When you look at a guy like Rakeem Boyd, who went from really essentially nothing at A&M to a JUCO where he was dominant, to Arkansas where he actually put the numbers on the board, his ability is phenomenal for me. Let's look at these real quick. Rush attempts per game, only 13. He's only getting 13 rushing yards or rushing attempts per game. Let's look at his receptions per game. Ooh, this is where it gets pretty interesting. 12 receptions per game. He is a dual threat out of the backfield at this build, at this size. Think about it. This guy could be the next big thing. His twitch ability is great. His vision is great. His body size is great. His technique is great. His numbers are out of this world because, look, his scrimmage touchdowns per game, boy, it's almost a 0.5. So every other game, he's scoring at least a touchdown with 5.7 yards per game. His PPR points total was 338 in PPR formatting for his senior year. PPR points per touch, 1.87. That is absolutely ridiculous. Rakeem Boyd, boy, I'm glad we ended the show with him, and I'm glad I got to give the narrative on him. That's all I got.
One thing, you said he had 12 receptions a game. I think you meant 12 receiving yards a game.
I got rush attempts per game 13 and receptions per game 11.9.
He only had 10 catches this year.
Reception yards per game, I have that as a Y. My bad. I got to some of these. I got. You're right. I got to elongate.
I was confused. I'm like, my stats are wrong. I needed to know what.
1.7. Okay, there you go. Still 15 touches per game.
Yeah, and he was effective with it. I mean, he's an athlete.
6.9 yards per reception yards per game. A total of 441 touches at. Let me move this over. 14.7 yards per touch per game. There we go. So that's not bad.
No.
That's the guy that we had very, very low. Look, I'm all about narrative, right? The more it was more the A&M Last Chance U shit. The stats, this is the icing on the top of it.
Hey, he did all that in the SEC too, so he's playing big boy ball.
Yep.
His senior year. And he also won a JUCO national championship and had a lot of people watching him on Netflix.
I'm one of them.
And how do we not talk about this guy more?
I don't know.
Well, guys, I think that's
There's a lot of backs.
I know we could talk about a lot more, but who else is talking about Rakeem Boyd? I don't think anyone's talking about Rakeem Boyd. That's okay, Rakeem. We love you. Guys, we've been almost 2 hours at the show. We've gone through 40 different player profiles leading up to the draft, and we haven't even touched the surface of wide receivers. The next 2 weeks, guys, we're going to dive deep into these wide receivers because everyone's talking about the same, 20, 30 wide receivers. We're gonna go deeper for you. We're going to help you win your ships. Stats win ships, guys. You can always, hold on. Let me get the banners off right now because we're going to go around the board, right? Tom, you haven't been here. Where can everyone follow you at? What's going on, man? Let's get going.
As always, on Twitter at FFRTom. I try and come through with some hot takes. I try and come through with some love for our man, the myth, the legend, Gardner Minshew, the Mississippi Mudflap. Hashtag Start Minshew 2021. Ryan, what do you got?
I just got to give a shout out to 4 of my running backs who did not make the consensus top 20, but did make mine. Jermaine Martin, Jaquan Hardy, Brandon Knox, and CJ Marable. I think all four of those guys could be relevant in the league. This was fun talking about running backs, guys. This is the most important position, hitting these rights. I love seeing all of our rankings together, how much variety we have, and I bet you that starts to tighten up as the draft approaches and we start to bounce ideas back and forth. But that was really fun. Running backs is always fun to talk about.
Yeah, Ryan, me and you, that Jermaine Martin, I got him just out of our top 20 at 21 for me. Guy like small school dude, excited for him. But I'm just working on the St. Jude Bowl presented by us, the Fantasy First Rounder. So, hey, if you haven't joined us before, don't miss out this year. We got a lot going on. Look at our Twitter page for promo, and all the information you'll need will be there. Hit us up. Any of us personally, our Fantasy First Rounders Twitter account, whatever you need, we'll hook it up however we have to get you involved in this. So look forward to it, guys. Join us. It's going to be amazing.
Always, guys, you can follow me at IEKappaSig right down there. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, the Rumboyz over there with us, man. Shout out to the Rumboyz, Robbie, Peacock, everybody over there. So loving for us, man. I'll be dropping my new series, Pinto's PowerPoints, coming Monday, guys, on Twitter, YouTube. SportsMe app is where we'll get down on it this way, right there. Main thing, guys, if you have watched us, you like us, give us a shout out and send us a DM about the St. Jude Bowl. It's $20. $10 goes to St. Jude directly. $10 goes to the pot. Prove that you're the best, right? Everyone talks about that they're the best fantasy player out there. Well, if you want to be the best, guys, let's win a little bit of money. I get it. Donating to charity is super, super awesome. And that's what we want to do too. But, I spent a lot of time playing fantasy football, a lot of time working the waiver wire, a lot of time seeing who's hurt, what the matchups are. And I think a little bit of cheddar at the end of the day is pretty good. I believe our guy Rusty down in Iowa is enjoying that cash prize that he had last year. So prove that you're the best. Use the hashtag are you the best. Sign up for the St. Jude Bowl Season 2. The only St. Jude Bowl that matters. Guys, this is the Fantasy First Rounders. We'll see you next week, same time. And we're going to dive into wide receivers. You don't want to miss it. Have a good one, guys. See y'all next week.